Done. Good afternoon, friends. We'll be studying today the chapter MMPC 09, Management of Machines and Materials. Friends, before I go to the chapter, I want to highlight that for any organizations, the functional areas are very important. As you know, the business is dynamic, the business is changing. So also the functional areas are also dynamic and changing. If you are talking about the functional areas, we find the important functional areas are marketing, finance, HR, operations, and in the global area, IT has taken the front runner. So a company has to be, if it has to be successful, all these say functional area should be vibrant, should be dynamic, should be up to the mark. Finance looks after the financial aspects from the source of funds, utilization of funds, allocation of funds. Marketing is an important area which also looks after the sales, demand forecasting, and as well as it looks after the advertising part and promotion part. HR is also an important area which cannot be neglected by the organizations. But of late, another important functional area is operations. Operations is nothing but is a functional area which produces goods and services. Now, if you talk about operations, it is a transformation process. What do you mean by transformation process? We have certain inputs and that inputs are transformed into an output, and the transformation process may vary from organization to organizations. For example, a steel company have a different say transformation process to a chemical organizations or to automobile organizations. Therefore, when you have a transformation process, there may be some say defects or there must be a feedback. Why there should be a feedback system? Because the actual output may not meet the expected. Then the question arises, why there is a deviation from the actual from the expected? Because there may be some uncontrollable factors which may give these deviations. For example, defective raw materials, which is beyond the control of the organ manufacturer, or say untrained labor, or there may be defect in the machinery breakdown. So there should be a feedback system in the organization, and lastly we have output. So therefore, to go into our topic, I will have to introduce your operations management. Operation management is nothing but it is a three important activities: planning, scheduling, controlling of activity that transforms input into output in the form of higher value than the inputs. So basically, operation management consists of three important activities. What are those? Planning. Planning means where from the raw materials comes, how to this location site, all you have to plan about our whatever is required for operations. What type of machines we will have, what type of technology we can adopt, what is my transformation process. Scheduling means when I should begin my work, when I should finish my work, and there should not be deviations or there should not be any deviation from the time. Controlling means whatever I planned and whatever I scheduled, if I have deviated from that, then I have to control that. I have to control that. I have to control that transform the input in the form of higher value than inputs. What is that higher value than the inputs? Now, operation activity includes both manufacturing and service organizations. Now, there is a difference between manufacturing and service. Manufacturing means it produces, say, tangible products. Service organizations produce intangible product. Intangible. Tangible means which you can touch, which you can feel. In a manufacturing organizations, we can store the items, but in case of service organizations, we cannot store it for the future. Now, service organization is based on JIT system. So, either it may be in manufacturing or in service sector, but it gives you a purposeful activities. What is that important purposeful activities? It enhances it adds value. It adds value to some objects. That means whatever inputs we have, if you have a transformation process or a purposeful activity, the value of the objects get enhanced. That means it becomes useful to the customers. Now, if you see the different methods of adding values, first important is alter. What do you mean by alter? I will give you examples of this alter. Change the form or state of inputs. Suppose I have a cloth. From this cloth, I get a shirt or a pant. That means I have altered, I have changed the form. I have bricks, I have cement. From that, I construct a house. That means the input is altered, its form is altered. So, alteration is one method of adding values to an input. So, by altering, we enhance the value of the inputs. Suppose there are flour. From the flour, we can make roti or bread, chapati. These are where flour is as such is not eatable. But if I can say alter its value to chapati or to biscuits or something else which can be eatable, which can be useful for the organizations. Second one is transport. Transport is very important because goods are manufactured at the manufacturer point, at the factory. If the goods are, say, produced at the manufacturer unit, and if it is not coming to the point of sale, that means it is not sold at the point where it will be sold. So it is not getting value. So, for example, if a, say, Hyundai or a Maruti company, it produces car and keeps the automobile in their own factory. So what is the use? That means whatever money they have spent on this production of these cars, that being lost. So it can only get a value if it comes to the use of so it should come to the dealer point, or it comes to the warehouse where the product is available to the customers, So the entity gets value through transport. The third one is store. How it is, you may ask how storing adds value, but it's very important. Suppose I get raw materials. I cannot leave the raw material as it is. I should keep it in a store. I should keep in a protected environment, because if I don't keep it, there is a chance there may be proliferation, there may be, say, theft, there must be some, say, calamities like rain or flood by which the material may be lost. So by having a proper store, if I have a proper storing of the products, then the value is added. Then the last one is inspect. Inspect is very important, because before the product comes in or before the products go out of the production process, we should inspect. First, when the raw material comes in, we should check whether the proper raw material is there or not. Whatever raw materials we have ordered, it is meeting our expectations or not. Similarly, when you sell the final product, we should also inspect for its quality. If there is deviations from the defined quality, we can go for the rework. We can go for again the we can go for rectification of the product. You must be heard that many automobile company recall their cars. Why? Because after a proper inspection, they get a recall. Yes. Now, operation management is generally a very new development. Operation management is a very new development. Now, if you see the historical development, operation is development, it is say comes through 4 or 5 stages. First stage is your industrial revolution. Second stage, your scientific management. Third one is concept of division of labor. And last one is your the present, or fourth or fifth one. So what is industrial revolution? As you know, in the industrial revolution occurred in England. As you know, it is occurred in England. It began in 1770s. What is the main feature of this industrial revolution? There is widespread use of machines. Manpower was thing to be ineffective, unproductive, and it is not say any justice to the organization. It was felt during 1770s. If you recall, England developed a steam engine. So begin in 1770s, and gradually it spread to European country, say France, Germany, Netherlands. All these countries also adopted industrial revolution. That means they substituted machine for human power. That means they engage more and more machines instead of human labor. They engage more machines instead of human labor. And the contention is that by having that, you can have more productivity. Now, after the industrial revolution becomes successful and widespread use of machines, then the organization becomes very complex. Organization become very complex. So that developed a concept called scientific management. Scientific management. And if you recall, Frederick Winslow Taylor is the father of scientific management. Widely changed the management of factories. Now, here, previously, the management of organizations were not very much scientific, were not very logical, were not very, say, up to the mark. There was widespread strikes, lockouts, and management was not professional. Scientific management brought professionalism to the management of factories, and Taylor is called the father of scientific management, and he developed the scientific management by observations, by measurement, analysis, and improvement of work methods and economic incentives. Two important things developed, that is work methods. What is work methods? Work method is nothing but is a technique of doing things in a better way. Now, scientific management allowed identify the best method of doing each job so that the productivity of the organizations can develop. Now, it is not based on any, it is based on most scientific concept like observation. We observe a worker, how he is doing a work. We can measure or we can compare two workers. Then we can have an analysis why there is a defect, why there is one person is more productive, why other product is not. Then we can suggest some improvement of work methods. And basically, the last one is very important, is economic incentives. The more productive the worker is, the more economically he should be compensated. He should be given more economic benefits. So scientific management started after the industrial revolution. Scientific management developed after the industrial revolution, which become very popular. Many of the organizations say adopted scientific management, and Taylor gets the credit of this. Winslow Taylor gets the credit of this. Therefore, and this is Why it is called scientific management? Because it is more of scientific in nature. It is based on observations, measurement, analysis, and improvement. Then concept of division of labor. Now during 1776, Adam Smith found that in an organization, one individual is doing everything. That means he is doing cutting, he is doing drilling, he is doing, say, packaging. So thereby he observed one thing, that the productivity of the worker is going down, rather it is increasing. That's why he suggested a concept called division of labor. What is that division of labor? He divided the work into small tasks, and individual workers are assigned to one of these tasks. Now, what is the benefit of this? The major benefit is that by dividing the work into small tasks, there is specialization. Division of labor leads to specialization. If one individual does one work always, one disadvantage it may have, it may give, say, monotonous. If you work one work always, it may gives you monotony. It may gives you monotony. You may not like to do that work always. But at the same time, it increases your specialization. It leads to specialization. It increases your productivity. It increases your efficiency. Therefore, in 1776, a concept called division of labor was developed, and Adam Smith was credited with this division of labor. His idea is to divide the whole task into small series of small tasks, and individual workers are assigned that work. Then comes in 1911 is a landmark in development of Frank Gilbert and Ilian Gilbert wrote the book Psychology of Management, which deals with human factors in organization. They realize that human being is the most important factor input in an organization. Their involvement. So they developed a concept of motion study, and which dealt with human factors, how to increase human productivity. That is their more contention. In 1913, Henry Ford developed the concept of mass production. What do you mean by mass production? Mass production is to produce in large quantity a standardized product. There is less variation in the product. There is less variation in the product. So in Henry Ford was credited with the concept of mass product, which there is variations with less variation, where he advocated that large product should be produced having very less variations, so that it can reduce the cost of production, and it will satisfy the customers. 1933, a concept called Gantt chart was developed by. Gantt chart is a technique of product scheduling. Now, Gantt chart is very useful to compare with the planned schedule and the exact actual schedule. Suppose a work has started. After 3 months, we will check what was our plan after 3 months, what should be my work, and what is the actual work. And Gantt chart is very useful. Gantt chart is very useful to control any project, any work, or any activity. How it will say what are the reasons for such a deviations. If the work is lagging behind, that means it is not as per the schedule. The scheduled time was 10 days, but it has taken 12 days. So there is a deviation of 2 days. Why there is a deviation of 2 days? Why it has occurred? And it will suggest the organizations what are the reasons for such a deviations, and it can take some measures to rectify such deviations. And in 1945, as you know, there was Second World War, and a technique called operation research was applied. a technique called operations research was applied in the warfare for by English soldiers. Now, after the war is over in 1950, around 1950, technique of operation research was applied in managerial decisions making. Now, optimization technique, as you know, there are important optimization technique, linear programming. Linear programming helps us to minimize the cost or maximize the profit of the organization. Assignment problems, transportation problems. Transportation helps us to say minimize the cost of transportations. Assignment problem, simulation techniques. All these techniques, simulations, then your say POT and CPM, which is also very extensively used in project scheduling. So in 1950, there was a major development. That is, operation research was applied for solution of managerial problem in decision making. Before 1950, operation research was not used. Operation research was not used. Now, as I told you at the outset, I should have told you that we say interchangeably use production and operation management. But in 1960, operation management scope is a wider concept than the production management. Why it is? Because production management was only say was only confined to say manufacturing sectors or to the sectors which produce tangible products. But gradually in 1960, the scope of operation research was expanded to service sector like health sector, like your airline service, your say hospitality sector. So the scope of operation research was expanded to include the service sector as well. Now, in recent times, most probably in Japan, we have a concept called JIT system. Now, why JIT was given a thrust? Because of inventory control and concept of quality control. Concept we will be reading in subsequent units. What is JIT system? What is inventory control? For the time being, we must know. JIT stands for just in time. Now, in case of the say traditional production system, we have to store inventory. Whatever inventory we require, we have to store it, keep it, and whenever there is use, we have to use the inventory. So the main idea of the traditional production system is to store the inventory and use the inventory when it is required. So there is lot of inventory cost, carrying cost was there, holding cost was there, setup cost were there. So lot of inventory cost were there. So Toyota for the first time introduced the JIT system. They found that they believed in zero inventory level. That means they believe that the inventory level should be zero. They should not, a company should not hold inventory and it should order inventory as and when required. As and when required. And the concept of quality control, total quality management, that means do for right thing for the first time. They believe do the thing, if you are doing the thing for the first time, it should be the right one. There should not be rework. Concept of quality control. Then other notable are group technology. Group technology means in a particular say cell or a group, we produce similar components. Say suppose there are three group, we produce A, B, C. So we form three groups, where first group we produce A components, second group we produce B components. Thereby we are able to flexible manufacturing system. As well as necessary, we can able to change our production system to meet the needs of the customers. And today's now computer aided manufacturing system, CAD, CAM, as the order of the day. Yes. When you talk about when you talk about operation management overview, we must see what is the objectives of operation management. Now, operation management objectives are basically divided into different categories. Number one is your performance objectives. That means it relates to the performance of the organization, efficiency. Efficiency is measured as output per unit of input. For example, if my output is 100 and I'm using 5 labor, so my labor input is 100 divided by 5, I get 20 units. That means the efficiency of a labor is 20. That means he is producing 20 units in a particular time period. So the objective of OM is to increase the efficiency or increase the productivity of the organizations. How to increase the productivity is a different matter, but objective is to efficiency. That means there are different ways by which we can increase productivity. We can give incentives, economic incentives, or by training, or by, say, recruiting right people at the right positions, and we should give some facilities. By that, efficiency will be. But my contention as a operations manager point of view, I say that efficiency is nothing but how much a particular input contribute to the output. From the efficiency, I get effectiveness. Effectiveness means it concerns whether the right set of output are being produced. Suppose I have to produce A product. If I produce B product, then I am going something wrong. I am not effective. Suppose a runner is to run, say, 100 meters in 10 seconds. If he takes 15 seconds, then he is not effective. Whether right set of outputs are being produced or not. Because if right set of output are not produced, it may not satisfy the customers. Customer dissatisfaction will arise. From the effectiveness, we get quality. What is quality? Quality is the extent to which satisfy the consumer needs. Whatever the customer expectations and whether we are able to satisfy the customer satisfactions or not. Whether we are able to satisfy the customers or not. A customer want a particular type of TV or a particular type of say pen or a particular type of say phone, mobile phone. Whether the producer is able to satisfy by providing him that particular type what the consumer needs. Then lead time is very important. Manufacturing lead time or throughput time is the time left in the conversion process. That's very important concept. What is that concept? Suppose my input goes by 2 o'clock today and it comes up 4 o'clock as an output. The lead time is 2 hours. So the objective of OM is to reduce the lead time. Now, if you can reduce the lead time, that means if it goes from 2 and comes at 3:30, I am able to reduce my lead time by 30 minutes. That gives me an advantage. Now, generally lead times is more if there is, say, lot of reasons, maybe idle labor. How the workers pay idle? Work for 15 minutes or work for 1 hour, then gossip, then not engage in productive work, machine set of time, machine breakdown, all this increases the lead time. So by reducing the lead time, organizations can also have the efficiency or effective. Capacity utilization, percentage utilization of manpower and machine. That is very important. Many of the industries have become sick because of not utilizing the capacity to fully. They have not utilized the capacity fully. That means I have 2 machines which can produce 100 units, but I am not able to use my 2 machines. I am only able to produce 100 machines. That means I am also producing 100 units. I am working at half of my capacity. I am working, or an organization is working half of my capacity. Machines, it's same thing about the manpower. Suppose I have 100 workers, but half of the workers are working, are productive, and next half are not working. So if I can increase my percentage, if a company can increase the percentage of the utilization manpower, it is a win-win situation for the organization. It's a win-win situation. That means more the capacity utilization, more is the profitability of the organizations. And another objective is flexibility. Flexibility means it's change. When you can change, whether you can change or not. If I am able to satisfy one customer or not. For example, Maruti is a flexible company. Maruti is a flexible company. Why I say it's a flexible company? Now, it has a car for all income ranges, starting from the entry level car to the highest level car it has come, the highest income level. So, it is not satisfying a particular customers, rather it is satisfying the variety of consumers. So, performance objective, first one is efficiency. You must be efficient. Second is effectiveness, quality, lead time. Then we come to cost objectives. Cost objective. Just satisfying the customers. If you only satisfaction on the performance, I am efficient, I am efficient, my efficiency is very high, my quality is very good, I am flexible. That will not serve you. Along with that, cost minimization is also an important objective of the production system. Cost, if you can reduce the cost, then only you will be in a say advantage position, because in a global economy you have to compete in a global stage. If you are not competing in the domestic level, you are competing in the international level. Lot of MNCs are there, high level, say the sophisticated technology they are using. So the objective of operation management is to reduce the cost, and cost is basically divided into two categories: implicit cost and explicit cost and implicit cost. To understand the meaning of explicit cost is nothing but it is the cost which is where money is paid. It is visible cost. Implicit cost is invisible cost. It is called imputed cost, where money payment is not made there, where there is no outflow of money. In explicit cost, there is outflow of money. Explicit costs consist of various costs like material cost, cost on raw materials, cost on machinery, cost on different spare parts. So a organization is always want to reduce its material cost. Direct and indirect cost. There are certain direct costs which is directly cost which are directly associated with the production. Indirect cost which helps in the production, but if it is not spent, the production will not. For example, a sound parking system for the employees is an indirect cost. Indirect. Why? If the parking facilities are there, then the employees can come to the organizations and park their vehicles and do a work. These are called indirect costs. Scarf and rework cost. This is very important. Rework means if you produce defective item, the item is rejected by the quality department, then you have to rework it. You have to rework it. And maintenance cost. Maintenance cost is very Also an important concept of explicit cost. You must maintain your maintenance is different types, preventive maintenance, breakdown maintenance. So you should also try to reduce the maintenance cost. There are certain implicit cost also. They are all invisible cost. Cost of carrying inventory. Suppose I have inventory carrying cost. What is this meaning? This is very important meaning of implicit cost. That suppose I have 1 crore of inventory in my store. If I would have kept this money 1 crore rupees in bank, I would have earned some interest. That meant that 1 crore money is blocked in inventories. So the objective of operation management is to strike a balance inventory. I should not carry too much inventory or too low inventories. If my inventory is too much, my cost of carrying inventory will be high. But if I keep very less inventory, there is also a danger. There is a risk of production stoppage. So cost of carrying inventory is also very important. Cost of stock out, that means some say consumers have come to you, you are not able to sell, then they have gone to your competitors. So you are losing some money. Suppose you by selling 100 units or 200 units to the particular customers, you could have earned certain profit. But that profit you are losing because you don't have stocks with you. Cost of delayed deliveries. Suppose we have say promised a consumers to pay by a certain date. We have not kept our promise, we have delayed, then it hampers our goodwill. Goodwill is a very important implicit cost. Cost of material handling is also an implicit cost. Cost of inspection. Suppose if I don't make a proper inspection, then my quality may be hampered. Then also it will hamper the goodwill. Cost of grievances. If many grievances comes against the organization, against the product, against the employee, so that also adds to the implicit cost. Yes. Operational management decisions. Operations management decisions are basically divided into operation decision is a function concerning decision making with operations on production. Any decisions which is taken with respect to operations or production, it is called operation decisions. Yes, operation decisions are generally of two types. What are those? Periodic decisions. Periodic decision means in a particular interval, for every month, for every 15 days, or for every week, whatever decision is taken is called periodic decision. We don't take decisions on daily basis. We don't take decisions every day. Generally, periodic decisions include designing of the product. What should be your design? Updating of resources. Structure. What should be your structure? What should be your system and procedures of production? These are all periodic decisions. Once a decision is taken, it will take some time to review it and change it, upgrade it. So periodic decisions is taken in a periodic basis, in a time interval. Whereas in a continuous decision, it concerns with day-to-day operations and control of operation system. On the shop floor, whatever decision we take every day, continual decisions, your decisions regarding the say raw materials procurement, your decision around inventory, your decision around production, all these are continual decisions. It concerns with day-to-day operations and control operation system. Now, planning decisions is another part which includes planning the conversion system and planning the use of conversion system. So planning decision is again includes your plan about how to convert the input into output. It may include where you should get the input, how to process it, how to, that is your planning decisions. Then comes your organizing decisions, organizing for operations. Or it is a process of identifying the activities to be, what is mean by organization for operations? It is a process of identifying the activities to be performed and grouping this activity into work, different work. Yes. Then structuring for operations. Here, developing an organizational structure. We have to develop a hierarchy of organizations. Who will be at the top level? Who will be at the bottom level? Who will be there at the middle level? Staffing, allocating the main goal of is to provide, allocating the job and work to right workers, allocating the men to different work, staffing. Job and work design is another important organizing decisions. Production and operation standards. What type of standards I want to maintain? What should be my production standards? That is an organizing decision. What should be my payment system? How we should pay to my employees or to my suppliers? That is an organizing decision. Yes. Most important thing is controlling decisions. As I already told, quality is a characteristic. Quality that which fulfills the needs of the customers. In today's world, quality is most important. Now, if my actual quality deviates from the expected quality, then the product will be rejected in the market. So, my controlling decision is to find out, is to check whether the expected quality as per the actual quality, if any deviations has taken place, you have tried to control its quantity. Quantity is important because our success depends on the customers. Whatever the customers want, in whatever quantity they want, we should able to provide them quantity. We should check right quantity is produced. Time is very important because in a global market, if you compete, time management is very important. Therefore, we should stick to our time. Inventory is, as I told you, is an implicit inventory. Maintaining too much inventory is very much and maintaining low inventory is also dangerous to the organizations. So a company should have a inventory. There is a UOQ system, there is ABC analysis, XYZ analysis. Different inventory control systems are there by which an organization can control the inventory. Last one is, or last but cost. There are a lot of costs involved in a direct cost, indirect cost, isn't it? In a production system, lot of costs are involved. And we also have a control and the maintenance. Right type of maintenance system should be there in the organization so that breakdown will not occur. Then strategic decision is a long-term decisions. Product selection, what type of product we should select and what should be designed. Why it is called strategic decision? Is a decision which is taken by the top management. Product selection and design is very important. Process selection. There are different types of process. There is fixed position layout. There are, say, line layout, process layout. What type of layout a company or planning, process planning, it will adopt. The decision is taken by this top management. Facility location, where should the site of my operations? Then what should be my arrangement, facility layout? What should be the layout? How should arrange my machines? Capacity planning. Capacity means how much I should produce so that I can meet my demand in the market. So that planning I have to do, and that is demand based on the demand forecasting. Then short-term decision, production planning, inventory planning, quality assurance, work and job design, maintenance and replacement, cost reduction and control. All this comes under operational or short-term decisions. What type of product planning, production planning, inventory planning, how much inventory I should maintain, how I should control my inventory. Then work and job design. Work and job design. What type of work and what should be the job design? Maintenance. There are a lot of maintenance and replacement system. We will read in detail in subsequent units. And cost reduction and control. Yes. Very important topic which comes to my mind is types of production system. An organization have different types of production system, and production system varies from organizations to organization. Suppose X company's production system may vary from the Y company's production system. Whatever production system X is having, Y company may not follow that. So, in an organization, there are different types of production system. First one is mass production and flow of line production system. As I told you, if you recall, I told you that mass production was one of the highlight of the development of production operations management. What is mass production? Mass production is nothing but it is manufacturing of large quantities of standardized products, often using assembly lines or automation technology. That means we don't produce by hand, everything is done by automation. Technology is automatic. Now, the most important characteristics of mass production is the products are standard. We produce similar products. And there is no difference in the products. Now, take an example of steel factory. Take an example of chemical industries. Take an example of oil industries. All these are called mass production. We use your general purpose machines. Or everything is automated, therefore the cost is high here. We don't find varieties of product in mass production. In mass production, we produce in the volume is very large. The quantity is very large, but the variety is very small. That means the products are very small products. The varieties may be at best one or two. That means it satisfies a particular type of customers. Now come to batch production. Batch production is a method of manufacturing when the products are made as specified groups or amounts within a time frame, and a batch can go through series of steps in large manufacturing process to make the final desired product. Very important concept. Batch product is sometimes called intermittent production system. What happens? We produce product in batch. I give you an example. Suppose we have an oven. In an oven, in the first batch, we produce biscuits. In the second batch, we produce, say, burger. In the third batch, we produce, say, bread. So batch production is where products are made as specified groups or amounts within a time frame. Say, suppose from 8 to 5. Now, each batch go through different steps of processing. So, a biscuit goes through one step of processing. Then your cake goes another, burger goes and different. So there is no similarity between this. There is no similarity between this. So batch production is a method of manufacturing. The products are made as a specified group. We produce in group within a time frame. And here the important thing is a batch can go through a series of steps in large manufacturing process to make the final desired product. Yes, job shop. A job shop is a small company or business that makes specific products for one customer at a time. It is a manufacturing unit that specializes in small quantities of tailor-made or customer-built parts. The unit makes each product according to the customer satisfaction. It deals with customization. If I recall here, a job shop is a type of processing system. It is based on customer order. Whatever a customer orders, accordingly we produce. We don't produce to store it. We produce to sell it. In other, if you compare with, say, if you compare with batch production or mass production or batch production, the difference is that in case of both the mass production and batch production, we produce and keep it in a store. As and when the customer comes, we sell in the market. But in case of job shop, that does not have. Suppose I went to a carpenter. I saw the catalog. I wanted a particular table of sofa or a particular type of dining table. I ordered the carpenter. Accordingly, he made that and sold to X, because X, he sold this to X specifications, whatever X has specified. Another great example is when you go to a restaurant. When you go to a restaurant, it is a great example of job shop. Because if there are 5 customers in a restaurant, they order different menus. So according to the order of the customer, the waiter of the hotel provides you the food. So to differentiate job shop from batch processing or from mass production, job shop is a production system where the product is sold to the customer as per their order, as per their specification. So unit makes each product according to the customer specification, very important, and it deals with customization. Whatever product the customer wants, then he sells it to them. So Job shop is generally happens in a restaurant, in a carpenter's, or if you go to a say motor vehicle shop or repairing shop, whatever you require, the motor vehicle, those repairman attends to your problem. It is not a general problem. And the last one is your unit manufacture or projects. What do you mean by projects? Projects are not repeatable. It's a one-time, lifetime thing. Suppose construction of a building, construction of an aircraft, or construction of a flyover. These are all projects. Why these are called projects? These are not repetitive activities. They are done once in a lifetime, or the gestation period is very high. That means it takes 5 to 6 years to complete. The main object characteristics of this unit manufacture or project is that the product is very large. The product is very large. You cannot you cannot construct a house in the factory and take the house to the land where the building is to be constructed. No, that is not done. Due to large size of the product, what happens? The product remain fixed. The product remain fixed. The product remain fixed, and the material and facility move to the product site. Suppose in a highway, in NH5 or NH16, we are making a flyover. The flyover is not made in the factory or in the, say, organization's laboratory or something we call it. It is made the point where it will be used. So here what happens? The materials, the labor, the machines, whatever is required for production and moves to that site. So that is called unit manufactures or projects, because the manufacture here, the materials do not move to the factories, rather the materials or the facilities move to the product. Since the products are large number, we have a long throughput time. As I told you, the gestation period is very high. Throughput time means when the input becomes output, it takes a long time. It may be 5 years. It may be some projects are now delayed unnecessarily. So to discuss or to conclude, a production system can take different, say, types. One is your mass production. This you have to remember. Mass production is producing in large quantities and producing in large quantities of standardized product where there is less variation. Variation is very less, and we use the technology. Then your batch production, then job shop, then last one is unit manufacture. Thank you.